Warning: sensitive images.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds, haven't got speed.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Наши программы предлагают много языков. Пожалуйста, посмотрите suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Recently, we've figured out how we can actually use fermentation to actually directly grow meat itself. You can actually use filamentous fungi.
The Case for an Amazing Animal People Meat-Free World by Dr. Karthik, Sekar, Vegan. Part 1 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
Showing empathy to other living beings should not be restricted to any particular faith or lack thereof. It's no surprise then that the world is changing and becoming more vegan, and so are Muslims. Nina Amedo, vegan.
In response to kindness, residents of the beautiful island of Saint Barthélemy may say, "Merci, c'est très gentil." That means, "Thanks, that's very nice." Compassionate viewers, I am Margot. The delightful Barthélemy people treasure your considerate actions and pray that you and your loved ones bathe in God's glorious light always. Welcome to part 1 of a 2-part series entitled The Case for an Amazing Animal People Meat-Free World by Dr. Karthik, Sekar, Vegan. Dr. Karthik, Sekar, Vegan graduated from Northwestern University in the US with a PhD in chemical engineering and held a systems biology postdoctoral position at ETH Zurich in Switzerland. As a trained scientist and engineer, he considers humanity's reliance on the farming of animal people for food and commodities to be one of the biggest problems the world currently faces, especially when measured against the ongoing efforts to oppose such actions. Dr. Karthik Sekar's 2021 book, After Meat, The Case for an Amazing Meat-Free World, addresses the technological use of animal people as a consumable commodity. He explains its fundamental limits and why this harmful practice will cease. Today we have the privilege to speak with Dr. Karthik Sekar about his book. He begins with his journey to becoming vegan.
My vegan journey, I guess, starts when I'm going back to college. So this was about 15 years ago. And at that time, I grew up eating meat, but my family hailed from South India. And I grew up with vegetarian food, and I had this realization that it's better for the environment, it's better for our planet, it's better for the animals. So I switched to vegetarian when I was in college. And then about 10 years later, someone pointed out to me that in order for me and anyone else to consume dairy, that a mom cow, or a female cow really, has to be pregnant, she has to be pumped full of hormones, and then she births a male calf or female calf. And if it's male, male calves are effectively a waste product to the dairy industry. And that's why we have veal. Veal is basically the outgrowth of the dairy industry. And so once I had that realization, I realized I had to give up dairy. And then I had a similar realization with eggs, and so gave up eggs, and then made a concerted effort to go vegan from that point forward.
The dairy sector is accountable for various forms of environmental contamination due to its large-scale farms containing thousands of animal people. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations estimates that global milk output increased by 2% from 2019 to reach over 906 million tons in 2020. Climate change causing greenhouse gases like methane, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide are produced as a result of dairy production, which contributes 4% to the total global anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions. All information concerning the scientific evidence of climate change and its solution is in Supreme Master Ching Hai's book, From Crisis to Peace. Free for download at crisistopeace.org. The industry not only harms the environment, but it also causes a great deal of suffering to people of the animal kingdom. Another concern is the issue of how dairy products harm human health. Dr. Karthik Sekar tells us why our world needs to be vegan and why we must stop the merciless animal people livestock raising.
So in After Meat, I argue that using animals to produce large quantities of commodity goods, so that's food, leather, medicine, it's one of our most destructive, cruel, and outdated technologies. And we should be striving to get to this new world where we're not dependent on using animals to produce the things that we love and that we need. Instead, we can actually make all these goods alternatively with plants or microbes in a way that will actually even be better. We can have food that tastes better, that's healthier, that's cheaper. We can have clothing that's stronger, lasts longer. And this can all happen because we don't use animals. And so I want people to see that we can have a world where things are actually better in every single way.
Dr. Karthik Sekar explains the direct cause and effect of animal people livestock raising on climate change and the problem of world hunger.
So the way world hunger and climate change are connected to animal agriculture are actually multifaceted and multifold. The first aspect is that animals are just so inefficient as a means to produce food. For every 100 calories that we feed a cow, we get maybe 2 to 3 calories in terms of actual food. For chicken, it's about 9 to 10 calories. So that's just a lot of waste, right? So that's a lot of plants we're feeding these animals that could otherwise be distributed to people and solve a lot of hunger issues. And then the other aspect is animal agriculture takes up a lot of land. So right now it's estimated something like 30 to 40% of the land, ice-free land on planet Earth, is being used for animal agriculture or feeds animal agriculture. And it's just incredibly wasteful. And so if we move to something, like plant-based or microbial fermentation, we can actually free up land, we can actually regenerate forests, we can, start drawing back in carbon. It's not even just about, emissions. It's also about our ability to draw in all this carbon dioxide that's, making our planet warmer. And we can do that if we switch to something that's just more efficient, like plant-based, fermentation-based technology.
The majority of the debate around moving away from animal people products centers on ethical and environmental concerns. Dr. Karthik Sekar, vegan, pursues a largely unexplored perspective to the argument in his book, After Meat, substituting technologies like microbial fermentation that outperform existing practices in terms of technological benefits. Dr. Karthik Sekar speaks about the method used by Corn, a brand that makes vegetarian and vegan meat products.
Corn is a very unique and novel food, but it's using a technology that's actually fairly ancient. So everyone is, roughly familiar with fermentation technology. So a lot of our foods, are fermented. So we think about like kimchi, from Korea. We think about kombucha, yogurts, those type of things. And recently, we figured out how we can actually use fermentation to actually directly grow meat itself. So as opposed to starting with a cabbage and adding the bacteria to grow into kimchi, you can actually use filamentous fungi. So these are small microscopic fungi, invisible to our eye, but visible under a microscope. And they can produce this matrix-like structure, mycelium. And this mycelium, in a similar way to the way meat is created in terms of hot dogs and chicken nuggets, you can take mycelium, you can use these extruders, you can use these instruments to shape it into patties, into nuggets, into strips, and then you can consume it like a meat. So you can stir fry it, eat it with some vegetables, and so forth. And what makes this technology so amazing is that it's just so much more efficient than using animals. So just to give you perspective, one bath-sized microbial fermenter can replace about 10,000 cows. So just imagine you have this one vat creating all this meat and just how many cows, you're saving, all this land you're freeing up, all this water you're freeing up, the amount of resources that it took to, feed those 10,000 cows. It's just a win-win in every single way. And I see microbial fermentation technology as having a huge role in our transition away from animal products.
With sincere appreciation for Dr. Karthik Sekar's innovative solutions and dedication to saving life on our planet, we eagerly anticipate learning more in our next episode. For more information on Aftermeat, the case for an amazing meat-free world, please visit karthiksekar.com/the-book.
Vegan, leaving a huge inheritance for the future generation.
It's been a pleasure to have you, our noble viewers, with us today. Join us again on Saturday, February 4th for part 2 of The Case for an Amazing Animal People Meat-Free World by Dr. Karthik Sekar, Vegan. Coming up next is helpful tips for nighttime leg cramps here on Supreme Master Television. May we always reflect on our own actions and walk in the light of God with a kind, compassionate, and loving heart.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds, hell not reach.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/UL